everyone, it's Kim and welcome back to Bookmarks and Breadsticks. If you're new to my channel, my name is Kim and I specialize in everything in the food writing space, a subgenre of nonfiction. Welcome to a very niche corner of Booktube. Today, I'm here to tell you all the books I received and or purchased in the month of March. Now, these first 7 books I have here in my hands are books I've already talked about on my channel in my London vlog. At the beginning of March / the end of February, I was able to go to London for work and managed to visit 2 different bookstores in London. So please feel free to check out that vlog above and down below. So let me just rattle these off really quick for you. I have Scoff by, oof, I don't drop it. First up, I have Scoff by Pen Vogler. This is a history of food and class in Britain. Second, I have Chasing the Dram, Finding the Spirit of Whiskey by Rachel McCormick. If you've listened to my vlog, this is the book that they ripped the cover on. You can see it just up here. I'm really upset. I'm gonna go obviously tape it up after this because I realize I haven't yet. So I'm pretty bummed, but this is the book that got assaulted at the airport. Next up, I have Oranges by John Mcphee. I have Swindled by B. Wilson. B. Wilson is a very well-known British food writer and she focuses in food history, and this is all about the adulteration of food. It's a very difficult to find book off of her backlist. 5 is Table Talk, Sweet and Sour, Salt and Bitter by A.A. Gill. A.A. Gill is a food writer in London who I have actually never read any of the work of, so I'm very excited to have this. It's a collection of essays. Next up by Pete Brown is The Apple Orchard, the story of the most English fruit. So my final book from London is In the Kitchen, Essays on Food and Life. It is this book that actually inspired my interest of Daunt books in the UK. I had seen this cover floating around on Instagram when I followed the food writing hashtag, and when I finally found out that I was going to be in London, I knew I had to visit Daunt bookstore, and I specifically bought this book at Daunt. Next category are books that I have received from publishers. The first comes from Penguin Random House, which is Sadie on the Plate. I have the book physically, it's just not with me. It's upstairs and I need to film this before my next meeting. So I'll put the picture of it right here. So Reckitt and the University of Chicago Press sent me the latest edition of their food and drink series, and this is True to the Land, a history of food in Australia. I know very little about the food in Australia other than their burger has beets on it, and I only know that because George Moats just covered it on his Burger Scholar YouTube channel. If you don't know Burger Scholar, it's owned by the First We Feast umbrella. I'll put a picture here and I'll link it down below. I love that George Moats talks about burgers, but he specifically in this episode talked about Australian burgers and how they have beets on them, and it started as a joke. Anyway, I'm very excited to learn more about the food of Australia. I think this brings my collection in this series up to 6 books, and they're so beautiful. They're full of beautiful illustrations. Let me see if I can show you one. Okay, this isn't the most beautiful illustration, but it's funny, that's for sure. Next up comes from the University of Iowa Press. This is the first time I've received a book from them, so thank you very much. This is a new 2022 release called Kabar, an immigrant story of food, memory, and family by Madhurasri Ghosh. Let me hold up the cover for you. And because I'm new to this imprint, let me read you the little press information that they brought. So this is categorized under their food stories section, which I love that they have their whole section called Food Stories. This is awesome. Kabar is a food memoir and personal narrative that braids the global journeys of South Asian food through immigration, migration, and indenture. The book questions what it means to belong and what does belonging in a new place look like in the foods carried over from the old country. These questions are integral to the author's own immigrant journey to America as a daughter of Indian refugees from what is now Bangladesh to India during the 1947 partition of India. As a woman of color and science, as a woman who left an abusive marriage, and as a woman who keeps her parents' memory alive through her Bengali food. This sounds amazing. It comes in at 212 pages. It has 11 color photos, 3 black and white photos, and is on shelves, publication date of April 4th, 2022. So thank you again so much, University of Iowa, for sending this to me. Knowing it's coming out in April, like very soon, I'm gonna try and put this at the top of my reading list for April. This last pile of books are just books I bought for myself. First up is The Last Chinese Chef by Nicole Moans. She is the author of Lost in Translation. This looks so good. Let me read the back for you. In her satisfying, sensual third novel, Nicole Moans takes readers inside the hidden world of the elite cuisine of modern China through the story of an American food writer in Beijing. When recently widowed Maggie McElroy is called to China to settle a claim against her late husband's estate, she is blindsided by the discovery that he may have led a double life. Since work is all that will keep her sane, her magazine editor assigns her to profile Sam, a half-Chinese American who is the last in a line of gifted chefs tracing back to the imperial palace. As she watches Sam gear up for China's Olympic culinary competition by planning a banquet of a lifetime, she begins to see past the cuisine's artistry to glimpse its coherent expression of Chinese civilization. It is here, amid lessons of tradition, obligation, and human connection, that she finds the secret ingredient that may yet heal her heart. So the rest of the books that I bought for myself are actually all nonfiction. So one that I had meant to read for Historiathon in March but didn't get to is Girly Drinks, a world history of alcohol and women by Mallory O'Mara. When I was in New York City for the vlog, I actually had this book in my hands and put it down and ended up buying it anyway later. I clearly had buyer's regret or remorse. Another book that is food history and women is Women in the Kitchen, 12 Essential Cookbook Writers Who Defined the Way We Eat from 1661 to Today by Anne Willian. I'll admit that I am not a cookbook writer, reader, or collector, but I do hope that by learning about some very prolific cookbook writers, I might tip my toe into that genre. My problem with cookbooks is that I want to buy a lot of them, but as someone who's gluten-free and on a slightly more limited lifestyle? I don't know how else to put that. I don't want to buy a lot of cookbooks I'm never going to use. That to me bothers me. I know some people love to collect them for the beautiful imagery, the food porn. It's not my style. So hopefully I'll learn about some prolific writers and that'll at least help me dip the toes into the area. Next up is Truffle Boy, An Unexpected Journey Through the Exotic Food Underground. This is been on my radar for a little while, actually. I actually thought I was gonna be able to find it at the Strand. That was the first time I saw this book when I was in the Strand, which is the bookstore in New York City, many years ago, and I finally got my hands on it. I have read a few books on truffles. I actually have a whole truffle box that was an exclusive for my crowdfunding platform for Read It and Eat. I have read The Truffle Underground, that's the book in the Truffle box. I also have Truffle Hound on my shelves and now Truffle Boy. Also, I saw that Olive hauled this book recently and Truffle Hound, so I want to read them just so I can geek out with Olive and hopefully she finds that charming, but I really love it when other people, especially other nonfiction booktubers or booktubers in general, are talking about books that I have or I'm reading. I really hope that I don't have as huge of a platform as Olive. Olive has 22,000 plus followers. So if she can endorse even one food writing book, oh my gosh, it would mean more people might read books like me and I'll have more friends to talk to. These last two books are definitely catering to my current obsession with food tech. And this is Tech to Table, 25 Innovations Reimagining Food by Richard Munson. I mean, first off, this cover. This cover is so nice. And I love that the spine's this color. I'm not usually big on like visuals and covers, but I really love this blue. And I'm very, very exciting. I am excited. I think there's a lot of different great topics that are going to be addressed in here. Food production, environmentalism, the idea that people are making food with 3D printing. Like, I am so psyched to continue on this new journey for myself in food tech. And the final book I hauled this month is The $16 Taco, Contested Geographies of Food, Ethnicity, and Gentrification by Pascal, Drizar, Marcelli. I'm very excited to read this. There is a big conversation going on right now about gentrification and how it impacts food and pricing. Let me read the back for you because this is probably one of the most exciting books I've had in a while. And it's yellow. I don't have any yellow books. Having discovered the flavors of barbacoa, bibimbap, banh mi, sambusas, and pupusas, white middle-class eaters are increasingly venturing into historically segregated neighborhoods in search of authentic eateries run by and for immigrants and people of color. Fueled by media attention and capitalized on by developers, this interest in ethnic food, and these quotes are on the back of the book, this interest in ethnic food and places contributes to gentrification, and the very people who produce these vibrant foodscapes are increasingly excluded from them. Drawing on extensive fieldwork, geographer Pascal Drizar Marcelli traces the transformation of San Diego neighborhoods, whose foodscapes are shifting from serving the needs of longtime minoritized residents who face limited food access to pleasing the tastes of wealthier and white newcomers. The $16 taco illustrates how food can both emplace and displace immigrants, shedding light on gentrification and the emotional, cultural, economic, and physical displacement it produces. It also highlights the contested food geographies of immigrants and people of color by documenting their contributions to the cultural food economy and everyday struggles to reclaim ethnic foodscapes and lead flourishing, hunger-free lives. Drizar Marcelli offers valuable lessons for cities where food-related development projects transform neighborhoods at the expense of communities they claim to celebrate. I think this is a very interesting topic. It is actually something that Anthony Bourdain did talk about. I don't remember what season it was, but the risk Anthony Bourdain always felt, or obligation he felt, as he started to go to different places around the world and visit different restaurants, is that he was shining light on something that was authentic and true and people needed to know about, but at the expense, it would bring a lot of people to that community. So if Anthony Bourdain endorsed something, a lot of people showed up. A lot of white and middle class and upper middle class people, which contribute to this gentrification. So I think this is a very interesting conversation. And I will admit to you that foodscapes is a new term to me. So maybe this book is going to unlock a whole other part of the food writing world that I don't know a lot about, that really is going to interact with urban housing, food deserts, which really now we call food apartheid, which is the systematic racism that deprives certain minorities and ethnic groups from access to fresh and good food. But I'm very, very excited. I have so many books from this month, I don't really know where to start, but if I had to pick one or two, I think these last three are the ones I'm most psyched about. The $16 Taco, Truffle Boy, this one, and Tech to Table. I also really need to read Kabar. Since it's coming out April 4th, I want to get that out to you guys as soon as possible. Maybe I'll do that as a review, or maybe review two books at once. I'm not quite sure. Let me know in the comments below which books you're most excited for me to read. Are there any that you want me to review? I know from last month there was an ask to talk about a couple different books, which clearly I don't really, if you notice, I don't really make TBRs anymore because I am a mood reader and there's so many books I want to be reading. I do think I'm going to take a little bit of a back seat from NetGalley next month because I do let those NetGalley books kind of get to me and, oh, I gotta read them right now. So my goal is to finish Food and Friends from Simone Simca-Beck for my James Beard project. I want to read Glorious Beef, which I started and hadn't finished yet. And oh gosh, I don't know what else. Tell me below what you guys want me to read next and review. If you haven't already, I would love for you to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.